Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for all the people on Friday who said have a great weekend. That was duly done. A great weekend was had. Something strange happened over the weekend though. Feels like a real weight is off my shoulders. I'm almost lightheaded today. I can't work out what it is. Anyway, I'd like to start with the fact I was impressed. You know, we've got the orchids to go, and they need to be posted at some point, which I will get on with. But luckily, one of the orchids to go, one of the first in there like a shot, I'll have that, was deliverable. Literally, the journey I take to and from my daughter's place, it was a little village just off the main road that we go up and down, you know. So I said, I can deliver that. Arranged a time for yesterday early evening as we were passing by. That was the do you know what, I just reached up to get it down to show you. Well, obviously I haven't got it anymore, have I? That was the Epidendrum polybulbum, or Dinemma polybulbum as it now is, and basically got the address and everything, duly appointed time, knocked on the door in the dark and the wet. It was a bit like that yesterday, we had a bit of rain, and a young lad answered the door, and I mean a young lad. So I was just about to say, is your dad in? And that was the person who'd asked for the orchid. I was duly invited in rather than stand in the rain. Family were around, Dad was there, he seemed quite pleased to see me as well. You know, yes, I do exist, I am real, it's not a hologram. And I couldn't stay long, which was a shame on reflection, but that's just, you know, that journey needed to be got on with basically. My daughter has to get up at silly o'clock to go to work, so you know, when I take her back she needs to sort herself out for work the next day and get to bed basically, and I still had to drive home. But anyway, I was invited up to see the growing area. I don't know what I expected. Just because somebody's a young lad does not mean to say they don't know anything about orchids. Anybody can learn. And anyway, I was shown into the bedroom, walked in the door, below the orchids there was an absolutely beautiful cat sat on its cat bed on the end of the bed there, gorgeous cat. So I said hello to the cat. Right, now we'll have a look at the orchids. And it's amazing what you can do with such a small space. It was a very small bedroom, well, relative to some. Modern houses, it would probably have been a big one. But large window, quite a low windowsill, so quite a large table in front of the window with the corner cut off so that you could get round the end of the bed. And then another little table and some of these mesh shelves alongside, sort of coming away from the window. So all of the plants were getting light from that window. There was a little mister going. There was a fan that comes on in the daytime. And, you know, I was sort of shown around the orchids. There were two Bulbophyllum phalaenopsis. They looked good. They were being grown well. I mean, I tried that thing and failed miserably. I did say you'll look forward to that flowering in your bedroom. That'll stink the place out. But yeah, there were some interesting plants there, some I'd never heard of. So it wasn't just a table of phalaenopsis, not that I'm criticising that, it was a variety. There were some dendrobiums, there was a beautiful Kingianum cross, what's it called, Berryoda, massive blooms, well grown, giant kikis coming off it, blooms all over the place, absolutely stunning. And some other dendrobiums. Had a Victoria Regina, exactly the same as mine, sold as blooming size, you know, little tiny cane and new growth. We all fall for that. Yeah, and assorted phalaenopsis, some Oncidium types. I think there was some Paphiopedilums there, and one was in bloom, and other things in bloom. A good assortment. I reckon there must have been 40 or 50 orchids there in that little space. And the variety, a couple of Masdevallias, and one of them was growing nicely, even though the guy said it doesn't look as good as it did. But yeah, so it can be done. So yeah, a little impressed. Small space in a bedroom, so within the house, so you don't get the variety of temperature there that you can get in somewhere like this. Plants arranged according to light, you know, the shadier ones farther back from the window. Some mounts, yeah, good stuff. So that's one gone. 22 to go. I'm working on it. I've just had a count up. We had around 150 orchids. We now have 170 orchids with 20 plus to go. That was my target. Get down to 150, and in amongst those, mainly ones you want to keep, rather than ones from earlier in the collection where I was almost of the frame of mind, anything will do, I haven't got it, I'll have it. Not worried about whether I really want it. So that's the idea, to end up with just the ones I'm happy with and want to look after. And some of the ones are still in a poor state, so we still might have some that will go in the bin. You know, I mean, I'm putting up with my Latorias because I like them so much, but they're not in a good way. Well, most of them. There's a couple that are coming on okay. So that was that done. Comments on YouTube. I do get help, requests for help sometimes in a comment, which I usually try and do. And this morning I had one having trouble finding out about this particular orchid. I think it's one I might have had once upon a time, can't remember. But so, I mean, the first thing you do is, I'm a lazy typist, so if I've got some text with an orchid name in, select Control and C, new tab, Control and V. I'm not typing it, just cut and paste. So you just Google the plant name, and in this particular case, an article came up about the plant. So I thought, well, that's not, it was hybrid for a start, so you can't use like orchidspecies.com, that's for, I'll get to that. That's for species only. But an article came up about this particular cross, which mentioned the parents. That's your port of call. If you've got a relatively simplistic cross, as close as a primary cross, 2 direct species and that's it, then you're onto a winner, quite honestly. You know, find out the parents, and if possible, not always possible, find out the dominant parent, which will 9 times out of 10 be the seed parent, the pod parent, not the pollen parent, if you see what I mean. And often the two plants will be so similar in their cultural requirements that which one you pick won't matter that much. But if you can find out, try and pick the dominant one. So I looked that one up, and that was a species, so got in and had a look. It's known by 2 different names, and you find out it's classed as a hot grower, not warm. It's up the hot end. Grows in the real steamy jungles where, you know, where there's no point in having a shower because you can't get dry. You're wringing wet straight away. Can't get dry. So real hot, and in areas subject to flooding. So it likes a lot of water. Yeah. So that, to me, being the dominant parent, is the port of call. Go with that. You know. If that's what it likes, then it ain't going to like any form of cold. It might just about put up with the top end of intermediate if you're lucky, but it's classed as a hot grower. I mean, there's some bulbophyllums in that category. And if you can't keep that heat up during your winter, then they're going to stall. They might even go down. Yeah? I mean, there are some that are fussy. They have quite a narrow range for their environmental requirements, and if you deviate outside, they just go down. And others put up with it and adapt, but not all, you know, so you've got to go careful. So anyway, you know, hot grower, likes to drink, needs high humidity. Deviate too far away from those 3 factors and it's probably not going to do too well. And if I remember rightly, the one I had didn't do very well at all, and it's brown bread, ceased to be. Hadn't nailed it to the perch, it would have fallen off a long time ago. And that'll show your age if you remember that too. So, an enjoyable visit, shall we say, and it just goes to show you don't need 50 years growing experience to grow orchids. You don't need a greenhouse, you don't need a grow room. You can have a good go in the home with a little bit of effort. As I said, there was a little mister running, so trying to keep the humidity up, a fan for the daytime, keep some airflow, and I'm sure in the summer the window will go up a bit, let a bit of fresh air in, yeah, so can be done. Just needs a bit of thought as to where. And that was a west-facing window. So this time of year, that's absolutely brilliant, because that late afternoon sun is so weak, but it does half increase the light. Now, come midsummer, that's going to be a bit powerful, even though it is in the afternoon, because as it comes round at an angle, you know, it's going to come in sideways and then full front and then out that side as the sun goes round and sets, and that might be a bit powerful, but I'm sure that's been thought of. So that was good stuff. What else? Oh, my daughter likes Laelia anceps. That's good, otherwise I'd have kicked her out. And it's just dawned on me now, I don't think we came out here yesterday. A whole day without coming out in the grow room. I don't remember that happening before. We were busy doing other things. And we had a look round. Hannah had a look round to see what's going on, you know, what blooms are going over, what new ones since she last came. And I don't know when I'm going to see her again now. She's got an appointment in the hospital, what's today, Monday, tomorrow, to find out what sort of surgery she's going to have. Because the batteries on her pacemakers are dying, so something's got to be done. So there is some surgery to be had. The simplest form will be replace the batteries and do nothing else. That is a very simplistic task. Not much more than a small opening, a poke around and stitch up again, so not too bad. But her pacemakers are in the wrong place, or pacemaker, sorry, it's a twin one, it goes to two places. She couldn't have a pacemaker in the normal place because her deformed heart leaves no room in her chest cavity. There isn't room for the pacemaker. So advancements have been made, and the pacemakers nowadays are a lot smaller. They're far more efficient. They last an awful lot longer before the batteries need redoing, and they're more reactive to need. So they're not always on. Because Hannah's are in the wrong place, her pacemaker is on all the time. That's not how they're supposed to work. They're supposed to respond to what the pacemaker believes is some form of exercise, where they increase the heart rate slightly to increase the blood flow, to make sure the oxygenation works, although that doesn't work very well with Hannah. And hers, because it's in the wrong place, her breathing is classed as exercise according to the unit. It just keeps going. It just, you know, it does speed up and slow down a bit, but it doesn't stop, which it should do. Now, if she has to have that replaced, then we're looking at major surgery again with a very long recovery time and a lot of pain, because it's here. If ever you've had anything go wrong in this area around the back of your rib cage, it's one of the most painful areas you can be poked about with. So we don't know. I should find out soon. And her proposed surgery, once we find out what it's going to be, is at the end of February. So unfortunately she won't be coming to our show one way or the other unless that gets rearranged to another date. That will be the first Bournemouth Orchid Society show I've been to without Hannah for a very long time. We shall see. But yeah, she could be off work sometime as far as recovery goes. If she gets the simplistic option, which isn't the best option, but it is the best option as far as time off work and, you know, recovery and all that sort of thing. So we've got that to come. It's something to not look forward to. I hate any form of surgery. It's always got a risk element, even if it's low. There's always a risk, so you always worry about it. You know, even having a tooth out, you know, sounds nothing, does it? Oh, they're doing it all day long. Yeah, we still get some sort of infection, and it can go wrong. You know, that's all I'm thinking about. So anyway, we got that to come. So we had a good chat about all that and what the options would be and what the results of each option would be and time scales and things like that. So yeah. a nice cheery chat. That's got to be done. And on cheery notes, the chairman of the Bournemouth Orchid Society, this is not good news. I've told you that he went in for his liver cancer operation, and they opened him up and promptly closed him straight back up again because cancer is showing in other places, which I think is called stage 4 cancer, which he's now got. And he's been told that he can have chemotherapy, but because the cancer form he's got is very, very rare, the results are unpredictable. So it may or may not even work. Without the chemo, he's got 6 months to 2 years to go. That's not good. I mean, he's not a youngster, but he's certainly not past his sell-by date by any means. Very active person, very bright, everything going for him. And if he has the chemo, it'll extend that 6 to 9 months. That's not a good prognosis. So, you know, we could be looking at 3 years max. But then I've heard these things before. You know, somebody, you get somebody has some sort of accident, paralysed and that, you'll never walk again, and a year later they're up on their feet. So things can change. You know, not doing miracles. If you believe in that sort of thing, do the necessaries. I don't. I believe in science and medicine. If there's anything can be done, I'm sure it will be. Yeah. But yeah, we wish him well. I'm sure he's not in a good place at the moment. And we have a meeting on Friday. Knowing him, he'll be there, and he'll still chair the meeting. I know what sort of person he is, but we'll have to wait and see. So more upheaval possibly in the future. What else was I going to say? Somebody asked about a specific orchid. Could I hold it up and just show it? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it would be right at the back, wouldn't it? I should be able to dig it out without anything falling on the floor. We will try. And I do have a problem on this orchid, which I need to deal with. I was going to say next time I get it down to water, but if I'm going to get it down now, which I am, I might deal with it now. It does need doing. Encyclia cordigera, yeah? With spikes, but also with problem. Somebody just asked if they could have a look because they hadn't seen it for a while, because this plant was virtually lost all its roots, was going down badly, shriveled pseudobulbs a lot. And I put it in the clay pot with the large bark and it took off, and it has taken off. If you look at that side of the plant, it looks a pretty healthy, strong plant, doesn't it? There's a but, I'm afraid. This pseudobulb up here, let's twist round. Oh, now it's going to rain. Ah, just for a change. Good, we need some rain. We haven't had any for ages, you know. The rivers aren't up over their banks or anything, you know. This pseudobulb here is turning brown, and it's taking its flower spike with it. Well, if it can take the flower spike out, there's something quite wrong with that. And then if you look a bit more deeply, round here, we've got another one. Now that's an old flower spike, yeah? And tucked right in underneath there, there's another brown one, and that is a very old one. That just got buried when I potted it. Now all of these are rock solid. There's no sign of mushiness or anything, so there's no emergency, no immediate need, but it does seem a bit silly to leave things on a plant that are not right. Now in removal processes, this one's sticking out the top of the plant, so I can probably just push that hard, holding the plant still, and it'll snap. I don't know. If not, it'll have to have some help. In fact, if this was soggy, that you do not do this. If you've got a soggy pseudobulb, don't play with it. Cut it off neatly behind the pseudobulb, because if it bursts and the fluid comes out, it's highly infected bacterial fluid. It'll take other stuff down and it'll get all over your plant. I've had one do that. Right, that's that one done, and you can see now the base of the pseudobulb is totally rotten. Sorry, I keep pointing it at the screen instead of at the flipping lens. So that's that one done, and looking at the area that it came off, yeah, that's a bit mushy there, a little bit, not much, Nothing more than the normal fluid inside a rhizome. But I'll get the scissors on that little bit there. Just make my hands in the way there. Just trim that and put some cinnamon on it. So that's that one done. But these two over here, I doubt if I'm going to be so lucky. Ugh! No, that one is solid. That one won't move. And this one right in under there, I'm not even sure I can get at that. But that is such an old bulb, it's dead as a doornail. So I don't think it can do anything wrong. This one might be able to. As I said, if it, you know, it could have just died off with old age. It does happen. If you look at pictures of orchids with canes and pseudobulbs and stuff in the wild, they'll often have a brown rotten one on them. Well, they don't very often take the plant right down, do they? And they're getting rained on. So that, you know, they're having water spreading stuff all over the plant. Anyway, I'll try and deal with those other two. I've done one. And don't say, are you going to pot it and see if you can get it to shoot out again? We won't be silly, will we? That's gone. But yeah, it seemed odd that it took its flower spike down with it. And what else have we got? We've got a reasonable flower spike pushing up here. There's another one over this side of the plant. And there's another weak looking one in the middle. But yeah. It's a plant that's had a checkered past. As I said, I virtually lost this plant. I've managed to recover it, but I think now I'm thinking I've only recovered it to a degree, because I can see where the strength of the plant is, and it's where it's grown since it was put in this pot, which basically is here. It's this basic line across here, and that little one at the top, although that is part of that line. And this bit round the back is the old part of the plant. It's where the leaves are starting to yellow and drop. So we might have to get it out the pot and do some adjustment, shall we say, and just basically take the older part of the plant off. Some might say it would be sensible to just try and take the older part of the plant off in situ, but that leaves me with a line of pseudobulbs, two of which are already over the side of the pot. Where are the next new growths going to come out? It would be a daft thing to do to not take it out, and it would possibly need to be split down through here and have two round shaped plants rather than what is basically a long thin plant, because that's how it grew. So we'll have to think about that. As I said, at least I've got the worst bulb off. So, sticky fingers now. There's a happy sap where I touch the flower spike. Right, and oh, morning Karina, snap. She knows what I mean. Yes, so yeah, 20 plus plants still to go, most of which have had bids. So they're, at least one person wants all but these flipping Rhynchostylus, which are two plants in effect. So that's two of the ones that haven't been bid on. And the other one nobody seems to want is the Nocturnum, the one that, well, it's a large, takes up an awful lot of space for what, so far for me, has been a non-performing blooming effort. It keeps blooming, yes, but the blooms are, the best I've had so far is a 4-day bloom, and one of those days it was fading. Under normal circumstances, yes, it keeps blooming, but I get a day or 2 days out of the blooms, and they self-pollinate, and then they just wilt. So it probably wouldn't be a popular plant, and the bigger it gets, the chances are the longer the blooms will last, because apparently when it gets a large enough, mature enough plant that it can bloom on more than one cane at the same time, it stops doing that nonsense, gives up with a party trick, does it, you know, properly. But I don't know how long they're supposed to last if they don't self-pollinate. I just don't think they're long-lasting blooms. So it was a nice idea at the time, pretty blooms must have. So it might be one of those that just has to go into the Orchid Society and go in the raffle. Somebody will have to have it then. At least it gets it away from me. As I said, I didn't want to be greedy with the plants. I'm not gagging for the money for the plants. I'd like them to go to people who want them. That's more important to me. And the idea of the bids was that, you know, I get something back and the money goes back into the channel in some shape or form. You know, like with a new plant now and again, or, you know, I could get some kit go wrong once we start firing up the kit again. You know, I mean, at the moment my little heater's working and working quite well because the nights are quite chilly. The big circulating fan that comes on with the heater is quite new, so that's going to do okay. But this big one here is getting on a bit now. And I mean, come the summertime, that's going to be on most of the day. You know, that's not really what they're designed to do. Fans are a bit, you know, now and again when it's a bit warm, we'll have a bit of breeze. You know, they're not these types of fans are not really geared up to this type of use. We've got the inlet and the extractor fan. They work hard in the summer months. They're on all day, you know, working hard. But the light, we're coming up to the end of January now. Oh, there's a thought. In a few days' time, we won't be a member of the EU anymore. We'll be out. And then we go into this transition period where apparently most of the stuff just stays the same till this time next year. And then, well, one of two things will happen. It'll all be wonderful, or all hell's going to break loose. Depends on your opinion, and I doubt if either of those will be true. It'll be somewhere in the middle. Some things will be sorted amicably, some things will be sorted, might even seem better to some people, some things will seem worse, but I don't think it's going to be a, you know, a catastrophe in biblical terms by any means. Change, yes, not necessarily for the bad across the board. We shall see. But yeah, light levels, day lengths, noticeable now. First thing I went out this morning, coffee and cigarette. That's another subject I'll get back to. And it was starting to get light. And I thought, have I got up late? But it's getting light quite early in the mornings compared with a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And also when we left to go back yesterday afternoon, it wasn't dark at that time of day. The day lengths are creeping out slowly but surely. In another 4 or 5 weeks' time, we're going to be back to that 11 hours. That's not long. And then, in orchid terminology, all hell breaks loose. Practically all the orchids we grow are getting back to their normal day length. They're going to grow. They're going to kick off. It's going to trigger things. So, we're looking forward to that. Now, back to the coffee and the cigarette. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, will be quite pleased to hear I'm going to have a go at packing it in. Now, this may not be successful. It may be. I don't know. I've done it many times before. Well, I say many times. I've done it before. I mean, I went well over 20 years without smoking. I think I started again when I started that job on the car rental firm because lots of the other drivers smoked. Oh, do you want one? Oh, well, I don't normally. Yeah, okay. You know, and it starts you off, doesn't it? You know what it's like if you've ever done it. But yeah, I'm talking to Hannah about it, and smoking is a habit. It's like a drug. You know, you get the nicotine in your system, you can become dependent. Yes, that's true. But I can go very long periods and not even think that I haven't had a cigarette. So I'm not as dependent as some. I probably smoke more when my daughter's down because she does as well. And we both perhaps fancy a cigarette or a break at a different point in time and both end up having one. So we probably end up smoking more. But I mean, I don't smoke in the evenings at all. And I'm sort of sitting around with not much to do in the evening. That's the sort of time, if it was a what you call a true habit, it would get to me. Oh, he must have a cigarette, got twitch, you know, whatever. And I don't get that. Sometimes I'm busy out here for a couple of hours at a time. I don't even think about it. Orchid Society meetings, you know, you're closed into a room for some considerable time. I don't have to pop out for a cigarette. You know, I do when it finishes, but so there are quite long periods where I don't think about them. So I don't think I'm as dependent as some people are. So we will give it a go, and you'll probably think this is silly, because I'm going to finish the packet I've got, because I roll my own, so I've got like, you know, raw tobacco. You make your own cigarettes, and they're normally quite small, and I don't even fill them up, so it's only actually 3/4 of a cigarette really, and then you chuck the bottom bit away anyway, sort of thing. So although if you look at the number of cigarettes I haven't really smoked that amount of tobacco, because they're not whole cigarettes, they're less than that. So I'm not a heavy smoker by any means, and I'm just going to finish off the packet I've got as normal. I'm not going to try and cut down or anything silly like that. I'm just going to carry on until it's gone, and then do my best not to buy any more. If I haven't got it, I can't have them. And the worst one is going to be come downstairs, bleary-eyed, dressing gown, morning, feed cats, get out from under me feet, coffee, cigarette, stand outside and get some fresh air. That's the one that will be hardest to stop. But what's the difference between doing that and just taking the coffee straight in and sitting down at the computer and getting on with my YouTube stuff? Is it really a big deal? So we will give it a go. So we may have, at Bournemouth Orchid Society, the number of smokers will go down by 1. And I think that takes it down to 0, because I'm it. There's a few at Wessex smoke, but not many. Anyway, we shall see how that goes. Wish me luck, because if anybody's ever smoked and tried to give it up, some just do it, don't bat an eyelid. Some are like a bear with a sore head for a few days till they clear their system out. But yeah, so we'll give it a go, and we'll see how we get on. We're not giving that up. Try and take my coffee out of my hand, I'll break your arms. But with the cigarettes, the fact that I can sort of take it or leave it, and there are times when I'm in a position for quite a long period that I can't smoke because of where I am, you know, like in somebody else's house or something like that. Yeah, so we'll give it a go. And you'll notice my Sunday morning chat is now my Sunday Orchid chat. Hannah and I sat down and went over the analytics of my channel. Some real noticeable things that I need to do. And one of them is seriously think about my titles. Like today, I've only picked up and talked about one orchid. That needs to be right up at the top of the description or in the title, because I'm getting a lot of hits from direct searches where people have just come in and typed in a plant name. Yeah? If your plant name's not in the title or in the description, how do they know it's in that video? How do YouTube know? So yours isn't even on the list, you know. Now Friday's video wasn't really an orchid video. It was to let you people know that I'd be going missing until today. So I'm not after people out there searching in to find that video, am I? That's for the people I've already got, which I do sometimes, you know. But yes, I need to have a better think about titles, and perhaps do more videos about a plant or a small set of plants, because they do bring new people in on those random searches. And part of that was just looking at the high hit videos over the last 3 or 4 years, however long it is. And there's some surprising ones in there. My Cymbidium repot is one of my top videos as far as the number of views are concerned. They've accumulated over years. That was ages ago I did that. But it's still getting hits. So obviously people are coming in and wanting, you know, typing in something along the lines of Cymbidium repot. Of course mine's right up the top of the list. So they get a hit. And for all others out there that have got YouTube channels, bear it in mind. Your regular viewers, I won't call them subscribers because lots of people view channels and are not subscribed. And there are many subscribers to channels that don't come back and ever watch a video. So you can't, the number of subscribers is almost irrelevant, quite honestly. But yeah, you know, your regular viewers are going to watch your videos anyway. They're not searching in to find you all the time. They're sort of there. You know, I wonder if so-and-so's put a video up today, that sort of thing. But, you know, people that are coming in randomly searching for something specific are only going to find your videos if there's suitable words. The tags, top couple of lines of description, and actual title. And On an orchid channel, you'd think with a channel title like Roger's Orchids, no, that's too random. That's not close enough in. So if somebody just typed in Orchids, well, I might come up on the list somewhere along the line because the word Orchids is in my channel title. But you have to bear in mind, when you look at my video at the start, the words come up, Roger's Orchids and some words. Yeah? That can't be searched by YouTube. That's embedded in the video. That is totally irrelevant to any searches whatsoever. It's what the title is, external to the video content, the words you put in that YouTube puts along the bottom. That's the bit you've got to look after. And I'm going to try a bit harder to look after that area a bit more. I'm still after that magic 10,000 subscribers. It doesn't mean a huge amount to me. All it means is that my channel will get a bit of a help from YouTube instead of you good people doing all the work. You know, that's the way I look at it. Let YouTube earn its keep for a flipping change. It gets paid enough. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. That really was a coffee waffle, wasn't it? And random things, but a specific look at a single plant because two specific people said, can I have a look at that? We haven't seen it for a while. And having had a good look at it now, it just needs a little tweak at the moment, and then we'll let it bloom, and then we'll think about probably splitting it in two and getting some new growth points nearer the middle of the pot where they've got some room to do something. Getting this out of the pot's going to be fun and games. I bet you'll all look forward to me trying to get that plant out of the pot, bearing in mind how many roots are outside and stuck to the pot. We've done it before, we'll do it again. Okay, thanks for your patience. No videos over the weekend. It's going to happen now and again, and now we're back to some sort of normality. And as I said, it feels a bit strange out here because I haven't been out here. I haven't done anything. I haven't looked at stuff. So perhaps I'd better get on and do some work now. Mounts first, obviously. You know, this is their third day. Now this time of year, that's actually okay. If I didn't do my mounts today, they're not going to die, but some of them won't be as happy as they would be if I did them today, if I left it till tomorrow. And then possibly holy clay pots tomorrow, and yeah, then we'll catch up again. My ordinary pots don't get watered very often, as you know. So, I suppose, hang on, ordinary pots. Just a thought. I doubt if there's anything to see yet, but this is the three Miltoniopsis, or one of them, that we put all the holes in the pot to see if it would dry better. And quite honestly, it's starting. It's not dry, not by any means, but it's a lot drier. It is starting to dry out in however many days that is. I forget which day of this past week that we actually did that, but it's not that long ago. And as I said, they went 20 days without needing water because they were still flipping wet through. It's starting to dry. The actual pieces of bark right next to the holes are dry. Obviously the centre of the pot isn't, but yeah, that's starting to dry out, so it's working. As I said, if they dry a lot faster and I have to water them a bit more frequently, that's a bonus because they'll be getting fresh new water in. That's the goal. If a plant stays in a pot wet for 20 days, that water is not fresh water anymore, is it? It's stale water. You could almost say it might be even going stagnant because the plant's not using it. It hasn't got a good enough root system to use it up. Anyway, they look like it's starting to dry them out a bit. So, bonus, good. It's nice when you get an idea and it seems to work. Even if the logic of the idea says that how can it not work, it's still nice to see it work. And the other thing I did, the little computer fans, which really are a nice idea for a gentle airflow around the room, but I got told off for blasting some plants with those fans 24/7. And somebody said because they're DC fans, if you turn the wires round the other way, the fans will go backwards. So they'll suck air through them instead of blowing it out. Well, that didn't work. The fans didn't come on at all. They're obviously not that type of fan. So what I did was the two up there I left alone, because if I turned those round backwards, I think the fans would overheat because they'd have nowhere for the air to go. They're so close to the wood. The one under there stopped working, don't care, so I must have knocked a wire off when I was fiddling. But there's no plants over there, that doesn't matter down there. But this row down here was the important row. And the top two that are pointing at plants directly, and actually had a physical plant stuck right in front to keep it cool, which was just drying it out, quite honestly. I turned those fans round the other way. So they blast air into these glass doors now, which just sort of goes bump and disperses. It's no big deal. And they're pulling a gentle airflow in. So there's no great movement of leaves or anything, it's gentle. And the bottom one I left as it was because there's no plants down there anymore. If you remember, I raised everything up to aid the back, the help of Hannah again. So there's no plants down there. So that one still blasts away across the base of the grow room. There's no plants. So it's just moving air. So I'm happy with that. So little change, probably as a benefit. And yes, right, I'm going to crack on with things now. As I say, I do actually have to do some watering, or really ought to, let's put it that way. You never have to do anything, but there could be consequences. I always say that with what you have to do. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to take your next breath if you don't want to, but there will be consequences. Please don't try this at home. Anyway, cheers Jamie, it was a nice visit. Hope you enjoy your plant and put it with the assortment you've already got. I'll say quite impressive. And cheers Karina, thanks for the support. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.